The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California.
Oh, sorry, James. Technical difficulties, starting again. Here we go. Going again.
The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into, featuring in-depth interviews with today's most influential entertainment figures, highlighting their tips, tricks, and techniques on breaking into the entertainment industry.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into.
Hey. Woo! It is another edition of Breaking Into. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here on Black Hollywood Live, I am your host, James Lott Jr., as you know, and I just love doing the show so much. I get some of the best people to come in and sit with me and talk to me about their lives, how they work in their industries, and tonight is no exception. This person that I have with me today is a dancer, choreographer, director, activist, which I love that part, educator, which I really love that part. She's worked in TV, commercials, film. I'm just like, we're going to get a lot out of her today here on Breaking Into. Millicent Johnnie.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you for coming. So you get applause. You deserve applause. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
I just want to say, firstly, that I feel like dance is just as important to our culture as politics, as health, as law. I mean, it's so important. When you think about dance in the broader sense, what are some things that come up for you?
Dance is change. I mean, dance, a friend of mine, Rennie Harris, has this term, physical historians. So when you are a dancer, you are the physical manifestation of this historical embodiment of people and ideas and culture and politics. We are the reflections of our past. We're the reflections of what's happening today. And you can use your body physically to work through whatever it is that you need to work through, or to heal, or to address certain things. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Dance has taken me around the world and continues to take me around the world. It has helped me deal with grief, losing my parents and dealing with Hurricane Katrina, being displaced. Yeah. And it's brought me in circles, where I would have never imagined, outside of dance being the vehicle, for sure. So.
Yeah, no, okay, folks. I'm just going to give you a little taste of what Homegirl over here has been doing. I mean, you have done, I'm going to talk about your educational stuff, because you've been on dance faculties for many universities and colleges. We're going to talk about the importance of education. But you've also done award-winning stage productions in New York, Oregon. You've done the National Black Arts Festival. You've also worked with people like Rodessa Jones, we were talking about beforehand, who I love, and John O'Neill and Will Power. You've also done commercials. You've worked with Usher, Angelique Kidjo. You did Scary Movie 5. You are the definition of a working artist. And that gives me and hopefully others out there inspiration that this could be a path for somebody.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
I really believe that. I really mean that.
I know. I could feel it. I appreciate it.
It's very much that this business is not easy.
No.
And not for the faint at heart, is it? And you've been in the business about how long now?
Professionally, probably since I was 18. Yeah, for a while now.
Yeah.
No, it's, I've always been about the work. So I really, I never thought about the accolades, the awards, or, that came later.
Yeah. I think
I was always just about the work. You
Right.
know, if someone contacted me, you know, about, you know, choreographing a play or a musical or an opera or even just some type of, you know, informal fashion show,
okay.
I put my whole self in it, you know. I've been really fortunate that most of my bookings have been by referral, you know.
Ooh, that's
So,
good.
yeah, so that
That's
means
good, yeah.
that, you know, when I enter into a space, I'm really assessing what I can bring to the table, who's in the space, what type of intelligence is in the room, so we can maximize on the intelligence and maximize on the strengths of the room. And it usually, you know, it works out, whether it's commercial or a concert or theater or whatever the medium is, you know. I've just always been about the work, you know, and I've always been about the people who are contributing to the work. And that has been, you know, that's worked out. It's been
Because
fabulous.
it's interesting because you bring up a good point that I want to talk about. Is I'm always fascinated by this, especially for choreography. We'll start with that. If someone says, okay, you got to choreograph a scene where people are dancing on boxes and it's about burgers or something. I mean, like, how do you
start?
What are some of the processes you go through to start that?
Oftentimes, I ask for writing. So if there's a script
Okay.
involved, I
Okay.
want to pretty much read the entire script so that I can have some context for what I'm trying
Okay.
to build or contribute to. I do a lot of journaling, lots
Ooh,
of
okay.
research on whatever the subject matter is. So that, again, you know, once I'm in the space with the actors or the dancers or the performers, I have as many tools and resources with me to contribute to that choreographic process.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times it starts with pre-existing work. You know,
Oh, okay.
scripts or librettos or books. I did an opera. Well, we did some workshops. Now we're actually going to go into production
Ooh, okay.
if everything works out
Okay.
well.
Yes.
But it was based on Parable of the Sower, written by Octavia Butler.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I enjoyed reading the book. And
Yeah.
as I was reading the book, I was journaling. And any type of choreographic or creative ideas that came to me, I would just write in my journal. I do a lot of sketching. When I studied dance in college, we learned a system of notation called lab notation.
Okay.
I don't use it anymore. I kind of blend that system of notation
With your own.
with my own,
Yeah.
which is rooted in basketball.
Oh, how funny. Okay.
Yeah, I played basketball pretty much my whole life until I went to
Okay.
college. And so, you know, the same way a coach
Yeah.
draws a play, that's
Yeah.
how I tend to document
wow.
my blocking and my staging. So, you know, as I'm reading, I'm blocking, I'm staging,
Yeah.
I'm note taking, journaling. If there are images and ideas I see in magazines, I'll put them in my choreographic notebook.
Oh,
Each
wow.
project that I have, I create a choreographic kind of journal binder.
Wow.
Yeah, so that, you know, once we get into the thick of it, I can just turn back the pages and look at the initial inspiration to see if I, you know, one, how far we've journeyed from that initial inspiration, or if I need to go back and reference something,
Got it.
you know, to build on.
I believe in writing everything down. Partly because I'm getting old, but number two, I believe in writing stuff down. When I have a feeling, it might be 2 a.m. on a project I'm working on, I write it down.
2 to 4 in the morning is some of the best hours.
Oh, I agree. No, I've gotten some really good stuff. Also, being in the bathroom, sometimes I've gotten some of the best
Oh yeah.
stuff. No, seriously, some of the best time. I'm like, I've got. Oh my God, it's come to me. Like, what can toilet paper can write down?
Absolutely. Water, all those natural elements, I believe, like contribute to the creative process.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
what I mean? Cooking.
Oh, yes.
My God. Some of my best ideas have come when I've been in the kitchen.
Wow.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
I did, what was this? It was called Artists in the Kitchen. It was for, we were touring this piece called Cry You On,
Okay.
and we went to New Haven for the International Arts and Ideas
Okay.
Festival. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. And they were like, you know, Millicent, you're from Louisiana. Can you make a gumbo? Luckily, I could.
Okay, good, good girl. Okay,
so I made a gumbo, and the whole time we were talking about making the gumbo, I compared it to the creative process. You know,
Ooh, yes.
bringing ingredients together, really being selective about how you want it to taste.
Timing.
The timing, absolutely,
Yeah.
what you want it to look like, the colors, the textures,
Yes.
how you want your audience to feel when they are, you know, tasting the gumbo. So it was great. It was fun, but a lot of the ideas just come from these, for me, interesting spaces of creativity, bringing things together. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like dance and music are two things that really inform our lives in every part of our lives, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean everything we do, I mean the way we walk.
Absolutely.
I have an aunt that I always say she struts down the street. She's in her 70s, and homegirl walks like she's like, I mean, like she's.
She knows that's that physical historian.
I like physical historian. I like that. That's totally.
I can't take her. I mean, that's Rennie Harris.
But I like
my
that.
boy. But yeah,
I like that. I like that. Well, give us props. Give us props, Rennie Harris. It's yours. But she does. She walks because I mean, her history is in her walk. Now you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, I get that actually.
All of us. I mean, you can look at. We did this project. Party People.
Okay, yes, I was researching about that, yes.
Okay, so the playwrights are Universal's Poetry Theater, originally out of the Bronx. Now they're based in Ashland, Oregon. Okay. And it was really interesting when some of the members of the Black Panther Party and the Young Lords would come to visit with us at Oregon Shakespeare. You could look at their physical language and just kind of get an insight to what they were experiencing, how they felt as they were speaking. And I really tried to channel some of that when I was choreographing that particular musical.
Did it work? Did you get it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, got it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I studied tons of video on the Black Panther Party and the Young Lords. And I was just, analyzing the physical language, what was happening in the body when they were talking about losing loved ones every other day. They were 18 and 19 years old, fighting for justice, fighting for freedom, fighting for equality. What does the body say, when that is at the forefront of your everyday life,
That's interesting. Yeah, what does your body say?
Yeah.
When you're faced with a possibility you could die.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're either vulnerable where the shoulders are forward, or you're extremely confident where the shoulders are pulled back and you're ready, to move forward. All of that, at least for me, contributes to like my choreographic process.
God, oh my God, I love it. I love it. Now, you also talk about, I've done some research on you about academia, and so how important is what you found for you formal dance training or schooling in the process of dance?
Well, my mother was a professor.
Okay.
She taught at a university in Louisiana at the time, I think it was called University of Southwest Louisiana. Don't quote me on that. USL, I'm not sure.
Okay, folks, you can tell us.
Because the name has changed.
Oh, changed. Okay.
And so anyway, as a young child, I was always on campus. Always on campus, hanging out in her office, hanging out with her students. When I was in high school, I was allowed to take dance classes with the dance majors. So it was a no-brainer to go to college.
Okay. You guys I got the training.
Yeah.
So yes.
I met
School was good.
my mentor, Jawale Willa Jo Zoller, when I was 15, and I found out she taught at Florida State University. Okay. So I was kind of clear that I wanted to study with her in college.
Yeah.
And I went to a strong and rigorous academic as well as an artistic program. And I think that because of that education, my informal education with my mother and my formal education at Florida State University, it just became natural and important for me to continue with education and helping young dancers understand, that your intelligence and your knowledge is power. The more information you have, the more informed decisions you can make, and you can shape your life, you can shape your future,
Because you've been on both sides of it too. You've been part of the dance faculties also.
Yeah, absolutely. So my mother, being the mother she was,
go mom.
She was like, you're gonna move to New York. I hope it works out. But if it doesn't, I want you to consider, falling back on a professorship.
Okay.
What does it take to do that?
Okay.
And, I always had that in the back of my mind. Went to New York, had a great time with Urban Bushwoman, had a great time, presenting my own work in the downtown scene.
I love New York.
And then I got really burned out.
Okay.
Quickly.
Okay.
And I think so that was one reason. And then also two, like I'm a really spiritual person. I listen to my intuition often.
As we should.
Yeah, absolutely. And my spirit was like, you need to go home for a little bit. And when I went home, I think I was home for a month and my mother fell in a coma.
Oh,
and thankfully I had the professorship to fall on.
There you go.
Right. Because I was able to, maintain a salary that supported not only just my creative work, but also my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
funny how that works.
Yeah.
Wisdom of mom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And that type of security and access to resources was important to me. As a choreographer, a working choreographer, once you're in an academic or university system, if they get it, they will provide you with the resources to, have a laboratory to just play with some choreography, or to unpack and interrogate writing and ideas that can also contribute to larger choreographic works, So I've been really fortunate to work at higher education institutions that understood that I was young, I was a working artist, that I needed access to resources, and that what I was contributing to the students as well as the faculty was also contributing to the larger university, and that was valuable to them.
Which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's not one of those programs, it's a dance program.
Yeah, it is. And dancers are highly intelligent. And if you're at a Research One institution, they're going to expect you to do some type of rigorous intellectual, work. And for me, I've always loved history, and I've always loved interrogating ideas and information. And so that was just a natural part of the process. And being associated with an academic institution, just kind of helps serve that aspect of my creative process.
What is one thing you took away from that serves you well to this day still by going to school?
No, it's all good. Knowing how to navigate certain types of situations when you are not in a position of power.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's no secret. There's a really good documentary called Ivory Tower that talks about how, it talks about the history of academic institutions and how they were rooted in colonialism, racism, capitalism.
Yeah.
And if you can understand, what the pillars of racism are, then you can figure out a way to systematically navigate through that so that it can benefit not just you, but also the people that you're serving, And so as a student, I peeped that really early.
And did you have any issues being African American or female navigating through school, navigating through that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hands down love my alma mater, but I was one of few African Americans in the dance program at the time. Now it's extremely diverse.
Yeah.
But when we were there, I created a dance company for, Black, Latino, and it was for anyone, but most of the members of the company were people of color. Okay. And because we loved learning the classical works, classical ballet. We loved the modern works, the Graham and Lewinsky techniques.
Yes.
But that we were also a generation that was rooted in hip hop and rooted in jazz culture and rooted in freestyling and street culture, or urban dance forms.
Right.
And at the time, there wasn't an avenue at my particular alma mater, so we created space for it. We created our own. We also had something called Chocolate Sundays.
Sounds good to me.
Yes, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We would all get together and make brunch and just talk about what we were experiencing on campus, what we were experiencing in the department. It was uplifting. It was supportive. It was what we needed to graduate. We had the chocolate corner.
Everything was chocolate, apparently.
Yes, we loved chocolate. We had the chocolate corner. Same thing. Every Wednesday we had what was called Forum. And so at least at Florida State, you danced four days a week. Okay. Or you took technique classes 4 days a week. Okay. We danced every day, but we had technique classes 4 days a week. Yeah. And Wednesdays was kind of like our day off. Okay. But we were obligated to go to forums where we would listen to speeches or, watch performances or, deal with internal departmental issues or whatnot. And so we would all sit in the same kind of section.
Yeah. Yes, you kind of gravitate together.
We gravitated together.
Yes.
We would check in during forum. You get that? You understand it?
Yes.
And if there was something that we needed addressed, then we knew who our allies were in the department.
Makes
and
sense.
we knew who we could go to, who would actually listen to
So smart,
what we're experiencing, Again, like I loved my alma
that's
mater,
fine,
but
right.
there's no academic institution in this country that is without flaw.
Yeah, obviously. And that's why. And the thing that you bring up that's really, really good for folks out there, when you don't see it, be it. If you don't have it, make it happen.
Oh yeah,
Right?
absolutely, absolutely. FAMU was across the tracks, and and my freshman year, I was like, oh my gosh, where are the other black people? And they were like, oh, you got to go to FAM. So I joined the dance company there, Orchesis, and that was great. I told this story not too long ago because we just celebrated one of my mentors. It was her 80th birthday. She retired from FAMU after like 45 years.
Wow, amazing.
And I was telling them, when I first joined Orchesis, we went to what was called the Black College Exchange. I don't know if it's still in existence.
Okay.
But no one told me that when you get on the bus, you cannot be in Florida State gear. That
how funny.
If you are going with FAMU, you need to be in FAMU colors.
Oopsie.
It was hilarious,
Yeah.
So I get on the bus, like at Florida State, you bleed, garnet and gold.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Everything is about, garnet and gold. So I got on the bus and I had on like a garnet and gold hoodie. I had a jacket. I had my garnet and gold shoes. I had, I was just Florida State out, and you could just feel the energy on the bus shift. Now, mind you, the night before we were dancing our behinds off.
Of course. Don't matter, yeah.
But when I showed up on that bus and I garnet and gold, they were like, oh, no. This can't happen.
Yes, so you learned fast, obviously.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, you did. You didn't dress the same way again, did you?
Oh no, I didn't. But those are my brothers and sisters at FAMU. So I feel like I had the best of both worlds. I had, really good training at Florida State, and then I had, access to this dance company that was driven by me and another woman, Tracy Young.
Okay.
Tracy actually just had a TV show, Step It Up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
she was the lead on that. So Tracy and I started this dance company together.
Okay.
And then I danced with Orchesis. So it was fantastic. I was always around entrepreneurs, and I was always around visionaries. So when I graduated, it was like, very natural to go to New York and tour.
Now, New York, I mean, it's a tough city. I love New York, but it's a tough city, especially if you want to go into any kind of entertainment field. What were some of the lessons you learned going there right after college?
Oh man, how to navigate situations. Seriously, I have had an amazing career. I will continue to have an amazing career, but I graduated with a job, because I knew I wanted to work with Urban Bushelman. I knew I wanted to work with Jawole Willa Jozaler. I took my finals early. And I went directly on tour with the company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't have the New York experience of, knock on wood, you don't have wood, but...
Yeah, I'm like my head. Sure.
But like waiting tables
or,
hustling in order to get to the auditions. I graduated with a job, and I graduated with my dream job,
Yeah.
So when I got to New York, I was living my dreams.
Wow.
I was in company class, I was teaching company class, I was learning amazing repertory that dealt with black women and black ideals and black consciousness.
Right.
And I was at home, I was at home away from home, so I didn't really experience too much hardships in New York.
Good. Oh, good.
My thing was I was choreographing, I was dancing, and I was on the administrative side because I was rehearsal director.
Yeah.
And I was also trying to do my own work.
Yeah.
And it's just too much.
It's too much. We can't do that. I'm like, I can do a lot of stuff too. You can't do it all.
No, it was too much. So I took a break.
No, that's a good point there. Okay, so because again, we're talking about listening to your body.
Yeah.
And also listening to your mind and your gut. How do you, when things are too much, how do you kind of pull back? I mean, just go, okay, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, I thankfully I have a yoga practice and a meditation practice.
Okay.
And I've got a great circle of friends and mentors.
Good. The village.
Yeah, I do. I have a village, whether if it's in the U.S. or in another country. I have a village.
Good.
And I'm constantly in communication with my village.
That's smart.
And constantly in communication with myself. I have, I have had a couple of experiences where I've had to walk away. And then even with that, like just constant self-care after that, so that there wasn't this self-imposed guilt that consumed me.
Ooh, that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Good
Yeah.
point.
So the yoga, the meditation, and the constant counsel of people who love me has helped me, recover from those moments. It's like, wait, this is way too much.
I believe in the village. I had talked the other day about the village with Miko Branch. I had her on the other day. Same thing about how this country, a lot of times we've broken away from that in many ways.
Yeah.
It's part of our culture.
We
come from village where the village helps raise you. They support you.
Yeah, I think you have to remind each other that that's where you come from. At least I do that. Like I remind people to be honest. I remind people to be transparent. I remind people to be accountable. And if I don't understand something, I'll pose questions so that we can come to an agreement on something, or come to a place of understanding. Because we may not always agree, but definitely a place of understanding. And, I grew up in southwestern Louisiana. It's called Acadiana. My family's from Acadiana. My family's from New Orleans. And if you know anything about that particular part of the country, it is you grow up with, if you got in trouble with your mother, you got in trouble with the woman down the street. You got in trouble with your auntie, you got in trouble with your great aunt who lived in New Orleans when you were in Acadiana. Like you got in trouble with, like everyone held you accountable, and they reminded you of your strength. They reminded you of your beauty. They reminded you of your lineage. And I think it's the lack of understanding lineage that is at our
deficit, I guess.
Yeah, it's our deficit. Absolutely.
I agree. I had to talk with one of my kids. I'm like, back in the day, you listened to anybody who was an adult that was in your sphere of reference. There was none. You're not my mother. If I had said that to half the folks that were, my face would have been beat up.
No,
I would
absolutely.
have popped them out a million times. You would never say that.
No, absolutely. They held you accountable. But also, too, I think they also came from this place of love.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And so it was easy as a child to receive it. You could feel that energetically, that they were checking you because it was out of love and it wasn't out of something else. It wasn't out of ego.
No, it wasn't. That's true. Very true.
So things have shifted, but I think if we can continue to remind each other of who we truly are, and remind each other to be honest, to be transparent, to be accountable, then I think we can definitely start to catalyze some shifts and some changes.
I agree. Now, working with celebrities, like Usher, like Angelique Kidjo, and there are a few others that you've done, Dave Chapelle. What were some of those experiences like? Because I know you work with just dancers, and they're not big names, but you're also not working with some big names who are saying, hi, I want to hire you to direct something or choreograph something or dance for us. How have some of those experiences been for you?
I feel like I'm repeating myself with the blessed and fortunate.
Say it 10 times. I love it. Say it all the time.
Blessed, right?
You are blessed and you are fortunate. And you are fortunate. So am I. We're all both are. Yes.
I've always worked with artists who really give 100 about their work.
Okay, good.
Do you know what I mean? So I've been in situations where everyone came to the table as an artist, and everyone came to the table with mutual respect about their craft.
Good.
So when I worked with Usher, it was beautiful. We worked.
He's such a great dancer.
He is, and he gives a shit.
I like that. No, I like that. No, that's very important, right?
I mean?
Yeah, no, right.
Like, so my charge was to teach him some ballet movement or some ballet-inspired movement, and we were looking at a Gene Kelly cameo for him.
Ooh, Gene Kelly, okay.
And I love Gene Kelly.
Oh my God,
watching
yes.
Gene Kelly.
Yeah.
And so, he knew that some of that vocabulary exceeded, what his understanding of movement at that particular point.
Okay.
And he was very humble. He was like, teach me.
Wow.
Let's go to work. And also he works with a choreographer, Ackerman Jones, often, and he was also in the space with us. So if there were moments where he didn't understand something, he would ask Ackerman to just kind of like
translate, I guess.
Translate it, yeah. And that was great. Like I really believe in collaboration in any creative space, a creative process. Because, my mother, she used to say 3 heads are better than one. She pulled it from a proverb from Ghana.
Yeah.
You know, one man cannot go into council with himself. 3 heads are better than one. You know, and
like
so any time that I was working with a celebrity, I was constantly listening, constantly, you know, assessing the strengths, constantly making myself available so that they felt like they could come to me with whatever their needs were, so that we could again reach a larger understanding, and then we could like really blow it out of the water. Because at that point we're maximizing on all the intelligence in the room. Do you know? So it's been great. You know, those artists, like I said, I have heard horror stories.
Right.
I have not experienced that.
Good. Okay, good. Oh, good. That's good. Okay.
But you know, all of the artists and the celebrities that I've worked with have all come to the table about the work.
I have a feeling it's you. I have a feeling it's your energy. I'm sure you just walk in and it's like, okay, we're done. She's good. We're done. I'm sure. I'm just sure. I'm sure it has to be. It has to be you. That
well,
they're not showing their other sides. If they haven't. But that's amazing. I mean, so I'm sure you treat everyone, as you've been talking, the same, whether it is the dance student
I do.
at university or the celebrity trying to learn a dance.
Absolutely. I do. It's important. You know, because at the end of the day, we all have had mothers, fathers. We have all come from someone who brought us into the space, you know, brought us into the world. And so, you know, everyone is human and everyone is entitled to experience what they're experiencing. So I just try to listen. You know, I try to be there. I will offer perspective when I feel like it's needed, you know, but sometimes people just need access and an avenue to release and let go and hold the space. And so, you know, I always ask, like, hey, look, I can be a listener, I could be a soundboard, I can be a mirror. What do you need in this moment?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
So
like,
okay, I like that.
what do you need in this moment? Let me know how I can help support you. And that has been really successful, I would say.
It's a great thing in life, period, isn't it, though? Think about that. Translates it to life. Like, to your friends, to your family,
friends,
your kids, whoever.
What do you
can you
need? Because sometimes people just need to vent. Okay, well then I can listen. You know, or sometimes people need to hear how they sound.
Yes, that's the mirror.
you know?
Oh yeah.
No, that's the soundboard.
Oh, soundboard.
Yeah, you give
yes.
it back to them, and then the mirror is like, you know, let me just reflect to you.
That's true.
How this is making me feel, and how, you know, this is contributing to the space. So.
Does it matter what age you start? Because like on my 40th birthday, me and my cousin Bobby, shout out to Bobby, who's a dancer, she does the Martha Graham method and stuff, shout out. We took ballroom dancing classes.
Oh, good for you.
And it was funny because she was like, you're doing a little better than I am, because she has all this other kind of training.
Yeah.
I came in as just a novice, and I was picking up some of the stuff we do in waltz and cha-cha-cha, these things.
For you.
And it was a lot of fun, but it was like I was 40 years old, and I was like, am I too old to do that? Like,
No, you're not.
And you're not, right? So you can start tell people you can start any age, right?
Yeah, I won my first dance contest. I was 3.
Wow.
And it was me and my cousin Marla, and we were at the Kaplan Rec Center.
Okay, go on Kaplan Rec Center, shout out.
All right, and we were dancing Zydeco, which is our traditional dance.
Yeah.
And it was funny because at the time everyone was breakdancing. So we were like, you know, the DJ was like, what are you guys going to dance to? We were like, we need some buckwheat Zydeco.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so we did our Zydeco and we won. And my brother was a b-boy.
Okay.
And he taught me how to break dance. And
Okay.
we went to the skating ring. Somebody picked me up. I was either 4 or 5 years old. Placed me in the middle of the cipher, which is like, you know, the circle or whatever.
Yes.
And I just went off, you know. And
Wow.
word got back to my mother. And my mom was like, well, I guess we should enroll you in ballet. So I went from Zydeco to breaking to ballet.
Wow. What a diverse history for you. I mean, so dance has, like literally been in your life your whole life.
Dance, music, art. You know, in Louisiana, you come from a cooking family, a music family, an art family, an athletic family, you know. And, you know, the Johnnie family is all of that. So I was an athlete my whole life.
Wow.
I danced. I played clarinet. I played piano.
Oh, wow, okay.
You know, so I know how to read music. My father was a jazz and blues musician. My mother was a storyteller and historian. And an opera singer. So, you know, I grew up just around art and culture and music all the time. And, you know, I loved basketball. Basketball was my, I'm not going to say it was my first love, but it definitely was hand in hand with dance.
Okay.
So basketball, softball, track, just this idea of coming together and working towards a common goal as a group. You know, I still use that philosophy when I'm choreographing or when I'm directing a show. Like, you know, there is no I in team. I had a coach, Coach Louvier used to say that. There is no I in team. Like, you have to do this with other people. You have to understand how to play your strengths and how to pull back. You have to understand how to navigate through a space, be a good temperature taker. So, you know, I would say the combination of growing up as an athlete and just growing up in my family definitely contributed to how I work now as a director and a choreographer.
Well, you mentioned something I want to touch on a little bit about the healing that can happen through dance, and you went through Katrina.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little about that, if you don't mind?
No,
about that?
not at all. So Katrina, 2005, I was a professor of dance at Tulane University.
Oh, Tulane, okay,
yeah. And my mother was in a coma. She was in a nursing facility in Slidell, which is across the lake.
Yep.
In New Orleans. And, you know, in Louisiana, we didn't evacuate for hurricanes. That was not a part of the culture.
No. You get ready, you embrace it.
You get ready. And even as a child, we had fun during hurricanes. Because it was like all of my mom's brothers and sisters came to one house. We had a bunch of food.
Oh, well, yeah. We were fine.
We told stories. We listened to music. And then we would just sit and wait out the storm. So when Katrina, you know, when there was, you know, the news suggesting that we needed to evacuate, I didn't really think anything of it. You know, I went to visit my mother in the nursing facility, and I asked the head nurse, I was like, are you guys going to evacuate if you have to? And she said, you know, if we have to, we will. But for the most part, we're going to see if we can wait out the storm. So that was normal.
It was normal. And I get it. It was totally normal. Yeah.
I went to visit my mom's sister. And she was like, Mill, you know, have you seen the news? And I was like, yeah. Again, I'm still not tripping.
Right. You're just like, okay.
And then when my aunt, I don't know what station she was looking at, but when she showed, she showed the image of the hurricane. The size of the hurricane was the size of the state.
Yeah, it was.
And that's when I was like, okay,
time to go.
Yeah,
Where's my purse?
Yes, this is different.
Go. Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
So, I packed a sundress, some jeans, my family photos, my parents.
Okay.
And then my mother had made me this like guardian angel doll when I first went on tour.
How cute.
So that's all I left the house with.
Okay.
And we were one of the last few cars let out of New Orleans because they had I forget what it's called now, but it was you couldn't leave after 6 o'clock or something. So we left at like 5:30.
Wow.
Like literally, like we were one of the few cars let out of the city at that particular point.
Okay.
And make a long story short, it took us 9 hours to get to Baton Rouge, which is usually a 45-minute drive.
Right. Yeah. So right.
Get to Baton Rouge. As soon as we got there, that's when Katrina hit. And, 2 days of not having television. Wow. We were listening to the radio when we finally heard the news that the city was underwater. We knew that we had lost everything.
Yeah.
And I lost my appetite because I didn't know what happened to my mother.
Yeah.
And, at the time I was dating an FBI agent. Thank
Really?
God.
Oh my God.
Yes, and he used his badge to get into the city, and that's how I found out my mother was still alive. But had he not used his badge, I wouldn't have known. Wow. And so for 12 days, I was just kind of, in awe. Couldn't believe that we had lost everything. Couldn't believe we couldn't get back to the city. Could not find my mother. I knew she was in a comatose state.
Yeah.
So it was hard.
I'm sure.
Extremely hard.
I'm sure.
My little brother, I was the guardian of my little brother at the time.
Okay.
I think he may have been 14 or 15 at the time. I can't remember. We were just holding on to faith. It was like, I created this piece called Sincerely Katrina Jones, actually, in response to that.
Wow.
And it toured with a company called Cleopatra Robinson Dance. She commissioned the work probably 2 years after Katrina.
Okay.
And it was all about, the piece starts off with me blindfolded. So I'm dancing blindfolded because that's exactly what I felt like. You had to keep moving in blind faith. You had no clue what was next, and Katrina.
Gets me all misty a little bit. That's such a great. That's
it's
a
all
great
good,
thing,
man.
yeah.
Like and the way we were treated was very difficult and challenging.
Yes.
People made comments about the way I spoke. You speak, really, you seem really educated. Just all of the assumptions about black and brown people and poor white people came to the surface. I felt like it was always there, but Katrina actually took the cap off, brought it to the surface, and said, "Look at this ugly mess, and this is how we speak to people. This is how we treat black, brown, and poor white people, and something needs to change."
Yes.
So, what else? I toured another piece called Uprooted, the Katrina Project. That one was originally commissioned by an organization I belong to, the Alternate Roots, which is an arts and activism organization.
Ooh, I love that.
And that particular piece united displaced citizens with artists, particularly from Louisiana and Mississippi, who were also displaced. So we toured the country, and we had something called story circles. Do you know what that process is?
It sounds kind of familiar. So
story circles is when you enter into a community and you bring people together, and then you share stories.
I thought it was something like that. Okay. Yeah.
And you can either create something based on the stories that were shared as a collective or individually, but it's a tool of engagement to help people
I like that.
Address, deal, heal, or just have a space to speak.
Yeah.
When you previously may not have had that space.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we created this evening length piece that toured for about 2 years, I guess.
Okay.
As an artistic response to Hurricane Katrina.
Okay. So you really went through some healing through dance.
I had to. Dance and theater and music. That was the only way I was going to get back on my feet. I had to deal with it. I had to be... Miko Branch, she said this on your show. She said you have to keep it 100 with yourself.
Yes. With yourself.
With yourself.
Yes.
You have to keep it 100 with yourself.
Yeah.
That was part of our process. We had to be honest with ourselves in order for us to move forward.
Which is a thing that I talked to her about. I said, it's hard for people to be honest with themselves. To forgive yourself or to anything to do with yourself.
Yeah.
You think it'd be easy because you're not talking to anybody else. It's just you're talking to.
You gotta silence the censor. That's part of it.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? If you don't silence the censor, it's hard to be honest with yourself because the censor is giving you all kinds of drama, all kinds of fabricated ideas.
Yes, it does.
So if you can silence the censor, then it's easier. I've found to keep it 100 with yourself, to keep it honest and transparent with yourself. You get rid of the junk, and then you can move forward with some clarity.
And for you, literally, you lost everything.
Yeah, I mean.
So you had to kind of come up and be honest and start from there.
Well, I lived uptown. Majority of my family lived in New Orleans East, which was really devastating.
Yeah.
So I lost my vehicle because it was parked in my auntie's house in the East, and I lost not everything, but I lost a lot due to mold damage.
Oh yeah, mold is horrible.
Yeah, because we weren't allowed back into the city for, or at least that particular part of town, a couple of months, 2 or 3 months or something like that. So I was able to salvage a few things, but I lost a lot to mold damage, and then definitely in my car and whatever else was in my car in the East. But the emotional and mental damage was tough. That has taken years to recover from.
Yeah, I'm sure. So on a more upbeat note.
Yes.
Upbeat note. What are some of your favorite pieces you've done over the years? You think back, you're like, I really enjoyed that. It makes you smile, or you see it again maybe on some YouTube show or thing. Like you're like, oh my God, it's so great.
Oh man, I enjoy all of it.
So they're all your children. You enjoy all of your children.
I promise you. I really enjoy all of it. Even the projects that I've had to walk away from.
Ooh, okay.
I love the people I was working with. I love the creative process. I love the access to the resources.
I believe you. I can feel it. I believe you. Yeah, I believe you that you enjoyed yourself.
I love what I do. Yeah. And so, when I go into a space, I have fun.
Yeah.
I have fun. I get to know my colleagues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really try to build relationships with them.
Yeah.
So, gosh, it's so funny because I was speaking to a middle school the other day, and they were like, what's your favorite project? What's your favorite piece of music? What's your favorite this? And I was like, I don't have a
That's why you
favorite.
don't have
I
one.
really love.
Yeah.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's funny because I actually, on the Breaking Into Facebook page, please follow it, I had posted one of your choreographic reels
Oh, okay.
from
Oh, very
2014.
cool. Okay.
I
Cool.
enjoyed it, so I posted it.
Oh, thank you.
And so, I mean, for you, because you're a choreographer, you're also a director, and you're also a dancer. I mean,
Yeah.
all three things. I mean, I'm not going to ask you favorite, but like, how does each inform the other for you?
Well, when I was in graduate school, my graduate program, I got my MFA in choreography and performance.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a 2-year program, and of the 2 years, we had to take 2 semesters of directing and choreography.
Oh, okay.
So it was great because we were working with theater faculty and dance faculty, and they never really separated the two. They really tried to help us understand the benefits of being a strong director and the benefits of being a strong choreographer. And so I really used a lot of those tools when I was directing my own work, and naturally when I was also choreographing my own work. You know, it's tough, I think, when you have a choreographer or director that has never performed.
Yeah, it must be interesting, right? It must be kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a few out there that have managed to really create some strong careers for themselves, but I think it's challenging because the empathy that it takes to enter into a process from the performer's perspective, sometimes it's not there. Do you know
I'm
what
sure.
I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So they go in, you know, they're interchangeable. I think, you know, being a dancer and an actor, performer, you know, informs how I choreograph and how I direct, and being a director informs how I choreograph and how I perform. You know, same thing with choreography. There's always been a learning exchange, you know. And I feel like I can't direct or choreograph anyone if I don't understand where they're coming from.
Okay.
You know, if I've not walked that in their shoes, or
Yeah,
at least
makes sense.
had some type of access or entry point into their own creative
You
processes.
don't have to be them personally, but you have to know at least something you can relate to about
Well,
them.
you have to have access into their world. You have to have access into their space, into their emotional space, their mental space, their spiritual space. So again, like I was saying earlier, so you can maximize on the resources and play to the strengths, you know. When I'm creating, I always think, okay, you know, if I were that person, how would that make me feel? And what do I need to feel supported in this particular space? So I usually start from there, and then I'll marry that with some of my own, you know, choreographic or performance ideas or directorial ideas, you know, which is stemming from experience in the field and also from my formal education.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite performers? Just name some off that you admire when you see them dance, past or present.
Okay. Well, okay, you said performers, so I'm going to mix it up with some singers and actors and stuff like that. I saw Diana Ross perform 2 years ago, and I thought she was...
I saw her at Hollywood Bowl.
Oh,
That's
no,
why I saw her.
I saw her somewhere not too far from Napa.
Okay, yeah.
She was amazing.
She was.
She was amazing. She was never, you know, her songs sound exactly the same that they sound.
And she sang the whole songs.
She sure did.
Not like a little snippet, costume change. I saw Cher.
Yeah,
She did.
no.
She sang all the songs.
She sang her songs, and she was so honest with herself, and, you know, the costume changes, and just her, you know, connected ness with the audience. You know, I really admired that. I talked about that show for months. Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life.
Yeah.
You know, that was a 4-hour concert that just left me in awe.
Wow.
You know, he refused help from anyone. Excuse me. He refused help from anyone on stage. He was very independent. Again, you know, just the blending of the sounds and the storytelling. That was really inspiring. I have a really good friend, Stephanie Powell.
Okay.
She, former Ailey dancer, Dancing in Harlem dancer. She was in, you know, Lion King.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful performer, beautiful teacher, beautiful activist. I
like that.
You know, yeah, I admire watching her perform. You know, I've always loved J-Lo.
You know, she's good. She's good. So as a dancer, you like her spirit, her style,
she's a hard worker.
She is a hard worker.
And she's a hard worker in every interview I've ever seen of her. She's always been 100 here. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with you on that one, yeah.
And you see that in the performance space. You know, you can tell those artists where there's been a choreographer that has come in and said, I'm going to take these moves and place them on your body, versus an artist that's like, I'm going to go in the trenches with you, choreographer, director. And I feel like J-Lo is one of those people. I'm going to go in the trenches with you because I want to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, and you see that when she's performing.
Oh, yeah, no, I love it.
You know, love it. Gosh, there's so many. There's a young actor, Christopher Livingston, I worked with. I can watch him act all day long, every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, always bringing his authentic self to the table.
Which is rare in our business sometimes.
Yeah.
To find authentic people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Universe's Poetry Theater, I've worked with them for about 16 years now.
Oh, wow, okay.
And every time we go into the creative space, I'm in awe.
Yeah.
And every time they perform and do what they do, which is very unique, I'm blown away.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's so many.
That's good. That's a good example. It's a good
So
example.
many, absolutely.
I'm so sad. Our time is just about up.
Oh, goodness.
And I seriously have like 8,000 more. Like I said, to talk to you from like, we just like keep the camera rolling. Let's keep talking.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, it's been such a pleasure. But I have two questions I ask every guest.
Okay, go
for
for
it. So since it's like, I feel that language is very important, and that it could stop us in our tracks, or it can move us and propel us forward. So, what is one word you think we should take out of our vocabularies?
Take out.
Take out.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to repeat what I heard, because when I heard it, I said the same thing aloud. Can't needs to be removed.
Yes.
And can I say two?
Say two. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Say two. That's right.
And fear.
Yes.
Can't and fear. You know, I think when fear comes into your space, you acknowledge what it is, but you don't give into it.
Don't co-sign.
No.
Don't co-sign fear.
I know for a fact that I've been able to live my dreams because I did not have any fear of living my dreams.
Yeah,
you
same
know?
here.
And I never accepted can't. If someone said you can't do this, okay, I'll find another way.
Yes, like I said, you create it.
There's
I mean,
another
right.
path.
There's another path.
There's another avenue.
That
Thank you so much for the experience, and keep the party rolling.
That's so true, though. That's a true thing. I mean, it's like they could tell you stuff. It could be their own stuff they're trying to throw on you.
No, absolutely.
Or trying to stop you. It's like, I'll do it myself. So then, what word you think we should bring back into our vocabulary? Should add to our vocabularies? And like a daily, weekly basis.
I'm gonna say love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And truly understanding what love is. You know, unconditional love, leaning into compassion and empathy, understanding what's happening in the world from a place of love, you know, forgiving from a place of love, moving on from a place of love. You know, I feel like I feel like it's taboo to talk about love.
How fun.
And I think people tend to, when you use the term love, they usually assume that you mean a romantic love, but I mean unconditional love that's leading towards compassion for other people, you know. So I challenge us to really start behaving and understanding how to operate from these true places of authentic self and love.
I like that.
Yeah, man.
I like that. Oh my God, these words of wisdom. I love it. Are there any projects or anything coming up you want to talk about at all? We just want to share with people what's coming up?
Sure. I'm really excited about Bottle Shock the musical. I was telling you about it earlier.
Yeah.
It's based on a film from 2008 called Bottle Shock.
Yeah.
And the writers are Charles Vincent Burwell and James Sasser. We just had a reading of it at the Napa Valley Film Festival.
Oh, good.
It was really successful. It's going to open in the fall in San Francisco. It's special for me because Vince has been a good friend of mine since we were in college. We were in orchestras together.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And just watching his career just take shape. And, you know, we just did a project together called Bambula with the Cleo Parker Robinson dance.
Okay.
And his music is magical. And then that in combination with James Sasser's writing, you know, I'm just really excited to be in the space with friends.
Very good.
You know, and the amount of support that this particular musical is getting from the Napa Valley Film Festival it's amazing. You know, so I can't wait to get into the creative space with all of those resources to really play with my friends, you know. So
where can people find you on the interwebs if they want to like talk to you or say hi?
Yeah, sure. Just different forms of social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. usually a lot of the projects I'm on, you can Google the projects
Yeah.
and find ways to contact
And I'll
me
be sharing
through
them on the Breaking Into page.
Okay, thank
I
you.
will. I definitely will. Definitely will.
Yeah, man. So just different forms of social media.
Very good. Thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thanks for having me.
Now, you guys, of course, Breaking Into is on Facebook, the Breaking Into page. You can use on Twitter the handle, the hashtag Breaking Into, and my Twitter, of course, is Black Hope LA, and that's BLAKHOPLA. As you know, I remember my thing is sharing knowledge, lifting each other up, and paying it forward. I think we did that today in spades. I just love it so much. I'm glad you're on, and I will see you next time.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me @KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.